Why is KD a better scorer than Jay?
KD's a better scorer than Michael Jordan because of the 3-level ability, right? So if you look at their shot-making ability in the mid-range, even if you take MJ in that category, which I'm not going to argue too much against, that's still far closer than their ability to shoot free throws and their ability to shoot from the three-point line. Not to mention that even if you were to give Jordan a little bit more rim pressure, KD in his prime is still one of the all-time great finishers at the basket as well. So if you look at shooting from all 3 levels, the three-point line, the free throw line, you also look at the array of ball handling moves. Now you could attribute that to rules and the allowance of a little bit more carrying, as Kevin Durant definitely carried on that little hezzy move, you know what I'm saying? But who doesn't nowadays? But he had a hezzy, he had a cross, he had a double cross, he could beat you off the dribble, more efficient. And again, the element of the 3-ball, I think, is what takes it up a notch. Now, chill. I know the argument is that MJ has these ridiculous scoring outputs in regular seasons and, of course, the playoffs. But then again, if we just go production for production,
who had more help?
I'm then going to ask you, who is he out there playing and getting guarded by? And then that's going to turn into a whole nother conversation.
Who are they playing with?
But it was harder to guard. It's harder to guard Jordan than it is to guard Kevin. Or no, it was easier to guard Jordan than it is to guard Kevin Durant, because you can't touch Kevin Durant. Michael Jordan, defenders literally could put their hands on Michael Jordan, push him.
You couldn't pre-help on Michael Jordan.
Real talk. I don't think you No. So look. Okay, but I'm saying, like, a lot of people can't comprehend this. So real talk. Come PC weekend, we're gonna play 1-on-1. We're gonna play one game where I can't touch you. I literally can't touch you. If I put my hands on you, if you swipe through, if you initiate the contact, it is a foul on me, and that's a point for you. Then we're going to play another game where I can legitimately hold you. I can forearm you. I can bully you. I can push you. I can rough you up. And then I promise you, you're not going to be able to dribble. I promise you, you're not going to be able to score. I promise you, when you load up to get your shot and I swipe down and knock the ball away from you, you're going to be frustrated. And then you're going to see it's two completely different worlds. You're not going to need help.
In 2016, I would have helped you either way. But I mean, now I think you got
that's not the point, real talk. The point I'm trying to make is it is completely different to try to score when somebody can hand check you. Hand checking is literally night and day.
Why do we act like people don't hand check?
The games are online. I don't know what to tell you. The games are online.
By the way,
why do we act like people don't hand check? Do we not watch Lou Dort? Do we not watch Casey Wallace? Do you not watch Nickeil Alexander-Walker? Do you not watch Ant when he guards up?
Real talk.
I watch Kawhi.
Wait a minute, though. Real talk. Yes.
You said what?
Wait a minute, though. Real talk. Yes. We're talking about 2025, 2026. Rewind the clock years ago. You weren't able to do that stuff. Like they started to implement more physicality in the game in recent years. That wasn't going on 8-10 years ago. Don't get me wrong. Guys are putting their hands on guys more today than they were years back in years past. And guys were taking advantage of that. Now, when you talking about a guy being able to be a 3-level scorer, I mean, I can't argue that Kevin Durant is a 3-level scorer. And what I don't want to get wrapped up in, real talk, is I don't want to get wrapped up in what he is today. One of the main reasons why I talk about Kevin Durant as one of the best scorers, because I think about what he was in years past and what he was for a long time. That's what I'm thinking about. Like I just said before you came on, like go look up some film of KD in like 2013. Go look up some film of KD in 2014, in 2016, in 2017, and see what you're looking at. Like a different athlete, a different mindset, playing a different offense.
You know what I want everybody to refresh their memory on, because sometimes your memory of your memories are bad. Chat and everyone out there, I want y'all to go and look at the free throw attempts that Michael Jordan was shooting, as Ron is telling us that you could be so physical with Michael Jordan. Also want y'all to go back and look at the documentary about the Dream Team, where Magic Johnson comes in a photo. No, excuse me. Magic and Larry are taking photos. Michael Jordan walks into the room, and the first thing that Magic says as Michael is about to join the picture is, hey, you can't get too close to MJ. That's a foul. So we're not going to sit here and act like Jordan wasn't consistently at the free throw line over and over and over and over again. We're not going to sit here and act like Michael Jordan did more consistently
at the free throw line
in the league than everybody else.
Why was he consistently at the free throw line?
Because
that is a terrible point to bring up.
I watched Memphis defend Kevin Durant just as physically, but I guess we need a documentary about it.
That is a terrible point to bring up because Jordan's game was a slasher. My game is putting my head down and going to the hoop. He literally did that every time he touched the ball. Of course, he's going to shoot more free throws than Kevin Durant. That's
like I said, the games are online. I don't know. People go watch the game. Form your own opinion on the fouls Michael Jordan is drawing and tell me how
on their
he had a favorable whistle, but a lot of
I don't need to convince anyone or whatever. Just go watch the games for yourself and form your own opinion.
You don't have to do this. All scores have favorable whistles. Ooh, newsflash. Kobe Bryant had a favorable whistle. Newsflash. SGA got a favorable whistle. Newsflash. Luka Doncic has a favorable whistle. Newsflash. Hakeem Olajuwon. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Larry Bird. Even Magic Johnson had a Steph Curry definitely has a favorable whistle.
No, he doesn't.
No, he does not.
This man was averaging he had times averaging less than 3 free throws.
You could have just left Steph out of it. Guys like Kyrie leave them out of it. Like not all of them have great. Not all of them have great whistles. But your overarching point of superstars tend to get favorable calls. Yes, everyone agrees with that. Yeah, like I said, just go watch the Michael Jordan games and tell me how drastically different you think the physicality is. And also, I just want to make this abundantly clear: don't just watch playoff games. Watch regular season games too. Because I can tell you, even in this era, we know the physicality in the playoffs ramps up. But when we talk about this era being soft, it's always regular season games. So go watch a random Michael Jordan game from December 14th, 1987, and tell me how physical the game is. Don't just watch him play against the Pistons, who we saw 3 times in the playoffs. Go watch him play against the Dallas Mavericks in 1988. Go form your opinion based on that game. So this is the thing, right? When players get revered in history, people either look at stat sheets or they'll go back and watch, but they'll only watch the iconic moments. They'll watch the double nickel against the Knicks. They'll watch the great series. But when you're not watching more of the overarching point, which is regular season games, playoff games against lesser opponents, playoff games against great opponents, then you see the more of the whole picture. So don't just watch playoff games against the opponents who were the best defenses in the league. Go watch him against some of the lesser defenses. See the physicality there. Go watch him in some of his bad games when the jump shot's not falling. Go watch as much of it as you can and form your own opinion on how great Michael Jordan's whistle was, how amazing the physicality was. I'm not going to tell you it was otherworldly physicality. I'm not going to tell you there was no physicality. I want you to please go watch the games for yourself and come back, maybe send a super chat, maybe leave a comment. I read the comments and tell me what you thought about the physicality that Michael Jordan was subjected to. Tell me how many hand-checking fouls you saw called, because I can just speak for myself. I see a bunch of hand-checking fouls get called from that era. But apparently, let some people tell it, you was allowed to do it. So I don't know what I was seeing when I was saying, oh, that's a hand check. I don't know. Maybe the commentators were mistaken when they were saying, oh, that's a hand check.
Okay.
Maybe I was mistaken. I don't know. Just go watch the games for yourself and come to the conclusion of how physical you think the error was. When you're seeing one-on-one coverage, tell me how physical they are. Are they pressing into the ball? Are they forearming people? Just form that. And not just on Michael Jordan. Watch the league. How are they guarding Magic Johnson? How are they guarding Larry Bird? How are they guarding Kiki Vanderway? Go watch it and form your own opinion. Please, that's all we can really do, because we're going to go in circles. Ron's going to say it was more physical. Real Talk is going to argue that the physicality hasn't changed that much. No one's going to achieve anything because we can't watch film up here. RIP playback. But you guys can do it for yourself. That's the only way that is going to get solved. You watch the game for yourself, form your own opinion. And I'm not telling you to agree with me or agree with Ron or whatever, because everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. Just go into it open-minded and then come back and say how you feel about the physicality that allegedly was there or allegedly isn't that different.
Physicality or no physicality, whether you believe it was heightened, whether you believe it was low-end, whatever it is. It's without a doubt the 90s and the 80s were more physical than today, whether you want to agree with it or not. However, let's say it's not.
That is a lie. You just lied.
However,
what we have a tendency to do real quick is
no.
This is what we're doing, real talk. We're romanticizing. We're romanticizing what was and making it more than what it was. What we're not going to do is we're not going to make it look like it wasn't physical. Don't forget where flagrant fouls came from. You can't do that today.
Oh, wait, who was it that was complete? Yeah, who was it that cried to the league about needing something done about flagrant fouls because they didn't exist? Who was it?
It was Jordan. And the wait. The reason why it was Jordan was because of
interesting. Complaining about physicality.
The reason why that was going
on.
I
would be too if I was getting hacked every night.
The reason why it was out of control.
Jordan,
people are out there trying to kill me every night.
Kareem used to complain about physicality. It's crazy. What these all-time great
because they're out there getting killed every single night. I'd be complaining too.
Killed is crazy. Y'all just say this stuff like it's a fact.
Real talk. Did you not see Kirk Rambis get clotheslined?
I did not. Oh my God! He was literally saying what I said. I said y'all saw a clothesline every third game and attribute that to the physicality throughout the totality of these games. Look at the 80s; they're just running up and down the court.
Imagine if to justify the physicality in this era was like, you see Draymond Green,
exactly,
and that's nuts too. What Draymond Green is doing? Obviously. That's nuts. What Draymond Green is doing.
You see Draymond Green put Rudy in a chokehold. That's what's happening in this era all the time. Like, God damn, every night we knew it was risk. Someone's gonna get put in a chokehold tonight. You see Grayson Allen. You see what he be doing to people. Oh, hey, this league was scary. This league was dangerous.
Okay, so wait a minute. The physicality that we
have. I'm only saying the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I'm with you. I think, to me, that's the most physical era. I'm just disputing the 80s. But
when the game's slower, there's more room for physicality. It's not rocket science.
There were things that there were things that you could and could not get away with. There had to be the whistle. And on top of that, don't leave out in the 80s, it was only 2 referees instead of 3, which means that there was a lot more that I could get away with 2 referees than I could with 3 referees, right? With that being said, there wasn't flagrant fouls. So the physicality, that led to fighting. That's where the fines came in, right? So, okay, we have to do something about this because guys are getting forearmed. Guys are getting snatched out the air. Guys are getting put on their back. And I ain't just talking about Jordan. The reason with Jordan why this thing ended up what it was because Jordan was the future of the league, and we got to have this guy around. So in order for us to have him around, we got to circumvent the rules. We got to make this, not circumvent the rules, I'm sorry. We got to change the rules. We got to lighten up on the physicality. We have to have this guy on the floor as opposed to having him getting slammed on his back, as opposed to him getting roughed up by a team like not just the Detroit Pistons, but there were plenty of other teams like Terry Cummings was doing that to Jordan. He was roughing up Jordan. The 76ers were roughing up Jordan. There were plenty of teams that were roughing him up. That's why, to your point, he complained to the league like, wait a minute. But then he also recognized that I have to get stronger because this is the way the game is being played. I got to get stronger. I got to get tougher. And I got to be able to play through a lot of this physicality because even though I am getting the whistle, I'm not going to get the whistle every trip. That's not going to happen. I am going to get the whistle, though.
I think the argument needs to be that Kevin Durant barely shot fewer free throws than Michael Jordan on his career. If you look at their per possession numbers, if you look at their per game numbers, they're separated by like 6%. 6% differential, 7% differential for 2 players who are so wildly different in terms of drawing contact. I think that gap should be closer to 25 to 30%. That's kind of where I'm at. So maybe we're stretching it a little bit, but I think we don't have to speak in black and whites. It doesn't have to be so like, okay, the 80s had no physicality or the 80s had this otherworldly physicality. I think there's about 2 calls every game that Jordan should have gotten in a modern era that he didn't get back then. And I'm someone who's watched a lot of Michael Jordan going back. Like I've watched a lot of playoffs, regular season, and I also saw a lot of it because I'm a little bit older than some of y'all. So, just remembering that stuff, there's probably like 2-3 extra calls that Kevin Durant would have gotten that Jordan didn't get. And I think that that's a big gap. The other thing that I think is a big gap between these 2 players that has to be factored in is turnovers. I think for the amount that Jordan had the basketball, the fact that he turned the ball over as little as he did is a testament to his superior passing in this argument and just generally his better court processing. He saw a lot of help at the rim. He could have easily turned the ball over. He made a lot of passes at the last second. People forget he basically played point guard a season. For him to have as few turnovers as he did with a guy who handled as much usage as he had. Then the other part of this that has to be factored in when comparing these 2 players is the help that they actually had. The players, the quality of shooters and spacing that they actually played with, and how packed the paint was when Jordan played. Now, whether you want to talk about like hand checking, physicality, whatever, we cannot disagree that there was a ton more physicality at the rim when Jordan was playing. So what makes a jump shooter less effective is the help at the rim because it takes away options. Durant played in an era where the paint was wide open, or at least a lot more wide open than when Jordan.
He was playing in a wide open paint in OKC.
More open. So
why? When nobody's guarding Andre Roberson, how?
Okay, nobody's guarding Andre Roberson. Is anyone guarding Russell Westbrook? Is Russell Westbrook a more talented offensive player than anyone Michael Jordan? Yeah, don't. Okay, you're gonna bring up Andre Roberson. Do we want to go through Michael Jordan's list of teammates? You want to bring up one guy?
You can go through whatever you want. The difference is the way the rules were set up is you can manufacture spacing.
Exactly, you can manufacture spaces
on the floor. Whereas in the modern era, once you get past 2000, is it 2002? They outlaw it 2000, something like that.
2002, Mars.
Thank you. Once you get to that point, you start seeing teams like the Boston Celtics in 08 pre-rotating, overloading the strong side. You couldn't do those things back in Michael Jordan's era. So non-shooters became even more detrimental as opposed to what they were. Like, go watch how Charles Barkley used to operate. They used to manipulate the hell out of the illegal defense.
Exactly.
Because Charles Barkley, this is what would happen. And you can watch the games. This is documented. You can see it.
Go watch
Charles
it,
Barkley would get the ball on either the right or the left wing, right? And because of the way illegal defense was set up, you either couldn't cross the free throw line, like you couldn't go below the free throw line or across the midpoint of the free throw line if your matchup was standing above or it
was basically cleaning out the whole left side of the
So basically, the way the Sixers and especially the Suns would operate was they would put all of Charles Barkley's 4 teammates. So Charles Barkley's on the right wing. They would put all of Charles Barkley's 4 teammates around the left side of the floor. All of them. That includes the Kevin Johnsons of the world who couldn't shoot. All of them would be on the left side of the floor, and every one of Charles, their defenders would just sit and watch while Charles Barkley backed down for literally 20 seconds from the 3-point line to under the basket with no double team in sight, because either you had to send a full double or you had to just watch. You had to just watch Charles Barkley go to work. That's what would happen. And Charles Barkley would walk into 67% true shooting because he was allowed to do that every time down. Now, when teams would send doubles, Charles Barkley would pass. They would play out of it, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not saying doubles never happened. And also, teams could circumvent it. They could sneak their way, start sneaking below the free throw line. Hakeem was really good at that. Scottie Pippen was really good at that. Teams were able to circumvent it. But the principle of it was that was what you were allowed to do. So when people bring up the lack of offensive talent in those eras, coaches were able to scheme spacing for players who couldn't shoot. Ben Simmons would get guarded at the 3-point line if he played in the 1990s. Not because he's a threat, but because if he stood there, you were obligated to guard him. So when we talk about guys like Kevin Durant in OKC and the lack of spacing he had with Kendrick Perkins and then Andre Roberson and Serge Ibaka didn't get guarded and Steven Adams and all of those guys, you were able to pre-rotate. You were able to load up to the ball. You were able to play in the gaps. All of that was allowed. When you played in the 80s and the 90s, that was not allowed. You were able to clear out a side for your best one-on-one player, and you literally either had to send a hard double or watch them go to work. So go watch the games. You will see the teams that actually manipulate that rule to the fullest have some of the greatest spacing you'll ever see.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous the amount of one-on-one opportunities they get.
I definitely seen that because the whole left side of the floor gets cleaned out. But with that also being said, even with the rules being manipulated today, isn't that even with the rules being changed, with teams like Oklahoma City, we're having guys like Russell Westbrook, we're having guys like Kevin Durant, we're having guys like Serge Ibaka who are great finishers around the rim. Well, wouldn't it be more conducive to speed the game up? Because even though I got a bunch of guys who are really good one-on-one players,
pace is
right? I got a bunch of one-on-one. I got a bunch of Russell Westbrook, great one-on-one player. Kevin Durant, great one-on-one player. Serge Ibaka, great finisher around the rim. Had a really good mid-range game, could knock down the mid-range, but also really good in transition. Right. So it would be more conducive for me to speed up the game. I say that to say, Mars, that if I'm manipulating the defense where I can clean out the whole left side of the floor, I mean, I am manipulating the rules, but it's also good coaching too. But I feel like the same thing could be said. I feel like the less can be said for Kevin Durant because you weren't manipulating I don't think that you were manipulating the rules, because even if you can pre-rotate, to your point, real talk, I still got to get action, and I can put Andre Roberson in spaces where he can be effective. He's not effective at the long ball line. He's not effective in the mid range. So you know what I need to do? I probably need to start moving more. I probably need to get more ball movement and get him slicing to the basket a little bit more. So that guy that's pre-rotating, he got to pay attention to him because he's going to give up a layup. Because if he doesn't, he's going to give up a layup, and that's bad.
But that's the point. You had to be more proactive, isn't the word, But like the level of scheming required, innovative. Thank you. The level of scheming required to make these bad offensive players viable is way higher in today's game, way higher in the 2010s than it was in the 80s and 90s. And once again, that's not a knock. You do what you do with the rules. The fact that you were able to manipulate the illegal defense of that era, that's innovative. That's creative because you're maximizing your team's chances of success based on the rules of the time. I'm not knocking people for doing that. But when I have to hear about all this spacing in today's game, especially when it comes to guys like Kevin Durant, who I can't say outside of Golden State and Brooklyn because that's two of the best spacing situations ever. But in Houston right now, you guys aren't about to tell me there's spacing. In OKC, you guys aren't about to tell me there was spacing. And Kevin Durant is still at 37 years old, 26 on 50, 40, 90 with this spacing in Houston.
Hell, throwing the nets after everybody got hurt.
Brooklyn when James Harden's not there, Kyrie's not taking the vaccine. Kevin Durant in 22 and 23, elite efficiency. He's actually playing point guard for the Nets in 22. If you guys go back and watch, there's a lot of point guard minutes for Kevin Durant in 22. Like, he's doing a lot of things in spacing that isn't optimized. So, like, we can look at these games, and I'm not saying there's less spacing today than there was in eras like the 80s and 90s, because the fact that people can shoot manufactures illegal defense of some sort, because you still have to guard those guys out there. Not because you're obligated to, but because you're obligated to because they can knock down a shot. So, like, you've pretty much replicated a legal defense just by having more skilled guys out there, which is, to your point, Kevin Durant's played with more skilled offensive teammates than Michael Jordan did. Because back in that era, the amount of skilled offensive players wasn't as high. So you can still generate spacing that way. But when we look at it through the lens of the amount of innovation that defenses were able to deploy in the modern game, and then offenses had to deploy to counter said defenses, it's way higher, in my opinion, than what you had to go through in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s and all of those eras, because the way the rules have changed, you have to be more creative to slow down the elite offensive players. You have to be more creative to free up your elite offensive players. That's the evolution of the game, and that's not a knock to the big.
Yo, Penn, right quick.
That's evolution.
Right quick, Penn. I got to step in. Mars and Real Talk are being nasty, caping for the era today and the spacing and stuff. Real Talk came in here and messed up a good praise session that we had for Kevin Durant.
I was about to get
but
back
I'm not
to
done
it,
with you.
I was.
Hey, no, we're not about to get into this because I will not tolerate anybody saying that Kevin Durant is a better scorer than Michael Jordan.
It's the panel. Religion get built on cam. With a check, throw smoke, and the host go ham. You ain't never seen hoops out here did raw. Every take got weight, every night we drop. This that barbershop. Courtside, worldwide tone. Welcome to the only show that really feel like numbers jumping like the score.